Welcome back to Corner Stories. Please enjoy the stories of the day. Hit that like and subscribe button and let's get on to story 1. My stepsister, Natasha, and I first met when Nat was 11 years old and I was 22 years old. My dad married my stepmom Linda a year plus later after meeting her. We were not close due to the age gap, and also it didn't help I was not always around in the house due to some reckless behavior on my end after my dad's divorce. Nat and I became closer over time till we developed a sibling bond. I was protective of her, especially some guys would try to hit on her despite knowing how young she was. I got into a fight with an older brother of her friend who was touching her inappropriately during a sleepover once during freshman high school, and Nat sort of saw me as her big brother. It did have some awkward times when I was dating and Nat became a bit mean with any of the girls I dated, but I never really think she was jealous, just scared of losing her big brother. When Nat was younger, she would like to wrestle or just mess with me by suddenly jumping on my back to play horsey, and it did happen once a while even as we grew up, but it was all innocent plus under the eyes of our parents, so it wasn't like this was a secret thing. Also sometimes when I was home from the city, Nat would jump into bed just to talk and snuggle. We will talk about her school or about my work. I try my best to sleep on my end, but Nat is a starfish when she sleeps, and sometimes we will just end up spooning each other while sleeping. When she went to college, we rarely hang unless she came back home for the holidays or I will visit her campus with our parents. Usually then she would want to crash in the hotel or Airbnb where my parents and I will be staying, cause we all will be bar hopping and her dormitory doesn't allow any of their students to be any under influence. This is where I started to notice when people look at us different. It's also important to note that my stepmom and stepsis are of a different race than me, so people thinking we are brother and sister will almost never cross anyone's mind. Anyways, when we drink and Nat gets drunk, she likes to act crazy and she will make me dance with her, or she will try to playfully mess with me by clinging onto me. I do try to pull away to try to talk to other women, but Nat won't have it and will just hang around me all the time. Last year my dad passed away and I moved back and finalized some legal and financial matters we had. Linda wasn't in the best shape due to losing my dad, and Nat just finished college last year and was looking for a job. Rumors started getting passed around that it was weird for me to be staying in the house with my stepmom and stepsis, and some lies were created among Nat's friends that we were having inappropriate relationship. There is partly the fact Nat put me in some pedestal for some guys she dated, which they found it weird. One of her friend told me that Nat would not tolerate any guy who doesn't treat her like I treated her, which made me worry that I may be too much in her life. Nat would go back to being in my bed sometimes when she wants to talk, but now she would be wearing just a long shirt and just her underwear, which I have to tell her to put some clothes on if she wants to be in my room. It's really uncomfortable when I have to say this, cause it's making her feel like she did something wrong and I would feel guilty and just apologize to her. I try to sleep lightly cause I don't want to end up spooning her, but sometimes, she just wraps her arms around me while sleeping, and when I wake up I have caught her sleeping on my chest and one of her legs over mine. I once woke up to find her just Linda doesn't say much cause she still sees Nat as a kid and I am like her son, but ever since these rumors started spreading, I have had to make sure there was some space between us. I want to address her phone lock screen as well, where it's a picture of her kissing my cheek during my birthday, but honestly I am not sure how to talk to her about all this. I love Natasha like she is my own sister, and I know she isn't doing this on purpose, or at least that's what I am hoping from. I don't want to hurt her feelings, and I feel she is turning her affection to me like how she was with my dad back then. Nat loved my dad and losing him hurt her so much cause he was the father she never had. Linda's ex-husband was POS who abused both Linda and her. I think my dad love and affection for Nat made her feel like she had a dad again. I am just scared if I express my concern with the wrong words it will cause some rift between us and I will make her feel self-conscious, but I feel she should feel old enough to know that we should have a healthy boundary as siblings. The other day when she joined me with my friends when we had a barbecue at my place and were drinking, she sat on my lap while still wearing her bikini and started to join the conversation. Some of my friends looked at me funny cause of this, and when I asked her to sit on the chair next to me, she just gave me a puzzled look like I was the crazy one. One of my friend texted me asking if there is something going on with her with some lewd stepsister porn gifs, which pissed me off and led to a fight, but I am acknowledging that our dynamic is not normal. I have spoken to Linda about this, expressing my concern that Nat and I need some healthy boundaries, but Linda just gives the usual, she is your sister and she loves you spiel. How do I broach this subject to Natasha without hurting her feelings? Story 2. Same OP. This story is about his stepsister's new boyfriend. My stepsister Natasha, Nat for short, recently got a new boyfriend, calling him Kyle cause the personality reflects the same. I wasn't aware of Nat having a boyfriend till she brought him over to meet my stepmom, Linda, and me on Saturday. Kyle is taller than me and is quite serious about the gym. Kyle came for lunch wearing tank top which he wore some jacket on, and when he came in the house, decided to take off his jacket and was using any opportunity to flex his body in front of Linda and me for some reason. When the time came for lunch, Kyle bolted to where I would usually sit on the front end after my dad passed and asked me to scoot over so Nat can sit beside him. I was finding this more amusing, but I can see Nat was really excited to introduce Kyle to us, so I just sat beside Linda and we had our meal. Linda's face changed as soon as she saw where Kyle was sitting but said nothing much. Over the meal, any conversation with Nat or Kyle became some weird dick measuring contest where Kyle had to brag about his accomplishments just when the question was a simple, "What do you do for work, Kyle?" Kyle is apparently working in some investment banking field and bragged about pulling all sort of sales figures which he was part of. When I questioned some of the things that I didn't really understand, cause honestly, even if I am not a banking person, I am pretty sure they are not letting a 24-year-old handle accounts worth millions of dollars like he is some Wolf of Wall Street bro that he was making himself out to be. He responded with, "I am pretty sure you won't understand if I explained it to you now, bro." The lunch kept getting worse when I took some favorite part of the steak cuts Linda made and he asked if I am hogging all the dish to myself because I was scared he would finish all of it. I just passed him the plate and he decided to take about most of it in his plate and pass Linda and me a near empty plate. I told he must be really hungry and Kyle decided to go on a tirade of how he has been training since he was 16 and he needs to match some amount of calorie intake a day even though no one asked. I told him he is in great shape and Kyle decided to point out maybe he can offer me a few pointers to bulk up because I look like noodle, politely declining, saying I like to focus on flexibility and calisthenics exercises since it was something I did when I was a teenager as well. Kyle made some Indian joke about me being stretchy like Dalsum from Street Fighter. I am Indian and Linda and Nat are Eurasians. I kept it casual and said he must be like Blanca then cause he is quite bulky, which he laughed before frowning, possibly remembering what Blanca looks like. When lunch was over, Kyle decided to stand up and bulldoze the plates into the sink, and since Nat was supposed to clean the dishes with me, he asked, no more told me to do it since he wants to talk to Natasha and Linda about something. I asked Nat to still help me out and since she was oblivious to what's happening to Kyle and me, she just told Kyle to wait up and help me out. I think that got Kyle fuming cause he came in the kitchen and started distracting Nat from helping with the dishes until I decided to have fun with this and ask Kyle to help us out since it would be faster. The look on his face was priceless as I was passing him plates for him to put on the rack while correcting where each plate goes was a small victory. I made another joke saying he must not do the dishes at home and he laughed saying he has a dishwasher at home. When he finally sat down and talked to us, he was mostly conversing with Nat and Linda. I wasn't paying much attention till Linda asked me if I was fine with it, to which I asked what was it, and Kyle was apparently wanting to take Nat to Bali for the holidays for Christmas. I reminded Nat that she needs to save up money for her rental and car payments, but if she has enough money to spare for the trip it should not be any problem. Kyle decided to interject with he is paying for her ticket and hotel so Nat doesn't need to spend much of her own money, which I told is very kind of him. He then asked what my holiday plans were and I said spending Christmas with Linda since Nat will be gone with him and we are celebrating our first Christmas without my dad around. That made Nat realize something and she asked Kyle if he can postpone. Kyle said he was only free during the end of the year and tried to make it seem like I should be cool with Nat spending the vacation with him. I asked Kyle to spend Christmas with us instead and that got Nat excited and she asked Kyle to celebrate with us since he is not going back to his family this year. The amount of rage I could see on Kyle's face was just amusing by this time and I told him he is more than welcome to come with me to do some Christmas shopping since I could use the extra muscle next month to set up the decorations. He made some excuses about seeing his schedule and will get back to me, but at this point I am just enjoying this and told him to give me his number so we can set some time so we can talk. He asked Nat to pass his number to me and by that time he said he had to leave. Kyle hugged Linda and Nat before trying to give me a bone-crushing handshake and some weird bump hug. When Nat and him left, I can see Linda just fuming and just telling what the hell is wrong with that guy, but all I could do is laugh and shake my head, telling her not to worry much about him. It's going to be interesting having Kyle around for sure. Story 3, Same OP. This story focuses on his stepmother. Yesterday was my dad and stepmother's would be 10-year anniversary. My dad passed away in 2022 and while we didn't do anything last year due to the mourning period, this year I decided to take her out to their favorite restaurant and their favorite dancing lounge they always went to during their anniversary. Linda had no plans so I came over to our house in the morning, made her and my stepsister Nat breakfast while telling Linda I am taking her out for dinner and then we are going dancing. Linda didn't want to trouble me but after Nat and I convinced her, she seemed excited about it, went to prepare herself for the night. She looked great when I picked her up, and since my dad would always buy for her a bouquet of her favorite gardenia flowers before they went out, I decided to do the same, and she was pleasantly surprised I remembered. Dinner was great, and she was talking about Dad a lot and all the sweet memories she had with him. I in turn expressed my appreciation to her for coming into our lives. She really made him a happy man once more. She didn't have to act like a mother to me, but she still gave me all my love even when I was keeping my distance from her in the beginning because I was scared she might hurt him like my bio mother did. We talked, drank, and it was a pleasant night till we had to go to the lounge. We met some of her friends and one of my dad's friends there, and they were pleasantly surprised to see her there again after almost a year. I know they were huge fans of Engelbert Humperdinck's music, so I requested for them to play the last waltz, which got her grinning when we started dancing. It must have been funny to the other oldies there who didn't know us watching us dance, lol. My dad's friend whistled and some couple gave us the thumbs up, which made Linda laugh. An older gentleman asked if he could have a dance with Linda, and I let them dance before Linda's friend playfully asked me if I was going to ask her to dance, which I did. We talked a bit while slow dancing, and she told me to make this a tradition to bring Linda here for her anniversary cause they feel that it's like my dad is here with them tonight. Linda and I danced a few more times till it was closing hour, and I guess the drinks she had made her more cheerful, but then she cried and told me how much she misses my dad and she feels guilty, but every time she looks at me and keeps seeing my dad in me, it makes her heart ache even more. I told her I missed him too, and not a single day goes by that I didn't wish he was here. That I am struggling never hearing his voice again, and all the advice he would give me, which back then I would take for granted. Now I am just feeling lost, and I can't even move on with my life completely as well, because till this day I felt like I never had a moment of closure because he passed all so sudden. I missed the Friday night dinners that he would take us out and all the family games nights we would have. I asked her what does she need to heal, and she wants me to move back into the house and we will support each other no matter what. I told her I would think about it, but for now I will spend weekends at the house so that Nat, her and I could go back to doing family activities like we used to. She agreed, and we hugged each other for the longest time. When we went home, I decided to stay the night, and today she seems to be more joyful. Nat noticed it too, and I feel the mourning period has finally ended. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to connect with each other in the comments below. Until next time, be kind, be curious, and I'll catch you in the next video. Corner Stories signing off.